Hey everybody, the City of Oakland's lawsuit against the Oakland Raiders, now called the Las Vegas Raiders in the NFL, continues, not dismissed. Another hearing to be determined in terms of future date. But the good news, first of all, aside from the fact that the motion to dismiss was not accepted, is that the Zoom meeting worked. And I have to say that I'm very happy this organization took it upon themselves to actually advance a link and note to people that this was going on, as I did not just through the blog post and the video, but also through a number of posts on key Oakland Raiders and Las Vegas Raiders Facebook groups. And I'm very happy that they responded and were able to watch up to 70 people at one point, according to Judge Spero. Okay, now, a number of issues. First of all, the Raiders have been asked to explain to the court the meaning of discrimination and diversity, and with respect to the ability of teams to come into the league and what the Raiders attorneys appear to be, just from my first take of what they said, I haven't talked to them directly, appear to be trying to advance is the idea that, well, there is a market, a free market, that allows a city to get an NFL team. Now, I'm not saying that's actually the case. I'm explaining what sounds like the Raiders' position as expressed in court and on papers. The City of Oakland is claiming that there's been a great deal of harm done because of this anti-competitive system, the way the league operates, and that the court wasn't, up until later, taking that into account. There was a turning point where you can see Judge Spero change his point of view with respect to an argument that was made first by Mr. Simon and then by Mr. Quinn. But overall, the idea, there are two competing ideas here. First of all, and you would say, why do all this? It's okay. This is the matter of breaking down an argument and then reconstructing it to provide a logic test. Now, what I just told you on its surface would seem to have nothing to do with the problem, and you would be correct. But from a legal perspective, it has everything to do with the problem, to make sure that when you put the argument back together, it fits the test with respect to other cases, with respect to what case law has said. And then if you can have some agreement as to the fit, one way, if the judge agrees with you that there's a fit, then the case continues. If the judge disagrees with you, then the case is dismissed. Right now, the judge is still trying to get to the place of what the NFL market really looks like, all right? Now, that's the inside baseball view from a guy who's almost a lawyer, but I digress. There is a gigantic misunderstanding on the part of Judge Spero of the role of the relocation fee. And in reading the City of Oakland argument as plaintiff, it didn't seem to me to come from their documents. Judge Spero seems to be confusing the relocation fee with the subsidy. $750 million goes to the bond issue. Mark Davis said, and Sheldon Adelson said, look, we're not going to do this Vegas deal unless the state of Nevada, through Clark County, comes up with $750 million. Remember that? Okay? That's not a relocation fee. That is a way of forcing Oakland to say, you need to come up with that. And it's consistent with the NFL's view that it wants public money. When he was president of the Washington Redskins, Bruce Allen told me in an email, Zinni, we like public money. You know that. And what he was referring to was my alternative plan for a Raiders stadium that will be done without public money in Oakland. A way of responding to Mark Davis' personal request to me to come up with a plan and matching it with Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf's demand that there be no public money involved in a plan. When I presented what I'd done with Bruce, that was his one-line sentence, okay? And another example, when he was NFL Executive Vice President for Business Affairs, Eric Grubman, at one point, and I'm not sure he understood the real estate side of this, so he had to alter it, but he said originally to plans to bring in a developer's partner, that's another mouth to feed. And what he means by that is, if you don't have public money, if you don't have that $750 million to pay for the stadium, that's a monetary gap that the league team has to figure out how to fill, of money that ostensibly would normally go to the team, okay? You could say that it's, now the counter argument is, you know what, you could save a great deal of money by not moving, all right? But that's another point. But the argument on the table is that $750 million was offered and gotten through legislative process. The city of Oakland was essentially told, you have to match this. In fact, I know personally the city of Oakland was having to match that because Drew McKnight, who's the managing director of Fortress Investments in San Francisco, said, oh, he personally said this to me. Oh, we can do that. And then at the end of the day, in terms of the different machinations of the deal, really should have just stuck to one. Fortress wound up basically looking like this guy with a coat, that has these different types of devices and machine guns under the coat that he's offering to a potential buyer. And one of them is, hey, you say you're getting a bond issue from Clark County? We've got one right here that kind of looks just like that. You like loans? We got loans. You like private bonds? We got private bonds, right? It wasn't anything that was solid where you could say, okay, this deal structured like this. It was like they really had no deal at the end of the day because they allowed Eric Grubman to basically walk them around with their nose trying to find their tail, because Eric is basically spinning this carrot around and saying, follow the carrot, follow the carrot, follow the carrot, right? Which they should not have done, talking about Fortress. But the example, I think, should really hit home right here with you, in that the NFL, in its love for public money, established a game, a competition, knowing that Vegas would win it because California does not like public money. All right. That's entirely different from the relocation fee, but related. That's over here. That's the subsidy. That's the gate. That's the barrier to entry in terms of the NFL. You understand that? This is the barrier to entry to the NFLs. How much public money can you offer? It's always been there. Okay, and that's something the judge needs to understand. It should be made clear as day and then fit into the antitrust argument that the city is offering, okay? So that's over here. Over here is the relocation fee. And it still fits in the overall argument and the issue. Why? Because Jerry Jones was documented, this is in ESPN, Seth Worsham, as being the advocate for relocation to Los Angeles and Las Vegas. Now, it just so happens his organization, Legends, is the owner's representative in Inglewood, and in both Inglewood and in Las Vegas has served to find the sponsors, including Allegiant Airlines and that $400 million naming rights deal in Las Vegas, and SoFi Stadium and the $600 million naming rights deal in Inglewood as part of their responsibility. So Jerry Jones basically got the votes, because John Clayton personally told me, this is on video here, Zennia62 on YouTube, that Jerry Jones had the votes for the move. Now, why would Jerry Jones personally himself stump to make that relocation happen? Well, and this is where the relocation fee comes into play, because first of all, the relocation fee that's paid by the owners of the Chargers and the Raiders enrich the owners, but then Jones, acting as, through his Legends company, a sponsorship finder for both organizations, he sets up a way where he is enriched. Okay? So you have the relocation fee on this side being gotten because the barrier to entry on this side wasn't such that Oakland could make it. There's also the desire to have gambling, but I think with respect to the fitting everything in the case, because gambling isn't mentioned, I'm only mentioning those things that are fit into the case. I think it's important to understand that there's a distinction between the relocation fee and the public subsidy, but they are interrelated. The public subsidy provides a gate. Any city willing to cough up an enormous subsidy to build a stadium, as opposed to a private one, then unlocks a key that opens up a box that reads relocation fee in the instance of an existing NFL team wanting to move from one place to the other, or even establishing a new team in a city. Now, you may be wondering, why is public money so important aside from just building a stadium? Again, it's because of the enormous cost of running an NFL franchise today. And so if you're building a new stadium, absent your ability to get private bonds because you own land the size of Montana and therefore can use that as collateral, if you don't have that capability, and many NFL owners don't, then you're left to looking at and expecting some type of subsidy to assist you, public subsidy to assist you on a large scale in building a stadium. Now, the trend has been against those. And it's caused a number of NFL organizations some consternation and a heightened focus on local revenues, because local revenues for some time have been woefully low. No question about it. And so some adjustments had to be made because the NFL didn't want to find itself relying only on television money at a time when every other viewing option that produces revenue is gaining less and less eyeballs, the NFL is the one that's gaining less eyeballs but at a rate that's much less than everything around it. And so the NFL sees that trajectory, which is why gambling has become so important, and became concerned before it became a problem to deal with it. All right. So I want to emphasize that I laid out the case and where it stands. They're expected within a week to essentially write and strengthen their arguments. And the Raiders have to really focus on and deal with this question of diversity. And I'll discuss more about that in another video. I just want to make sure I get this out now. Subscribe to Zenny62 on YouTube. Thank you.